I would imagine when DC debuted the Blue Beetle trailer, they were hoping people would be talking about, Blue Beetle. Considering that's the character that's supposed to be featured. But instead, they were talking about the last line, George Lopez making a joke, Batman is a fascist. And that's how DC decided to end that trailer. A lot of people, put in their 2 cents, myself included. We got clipped right here, Jeremy. George Lopez saying Batman is a fascist had this motherfucker riled up. I need more lines like that from the movie if they're freaking out like this. And we may as well listen to me and Jeremy.
I had some really good commentary.
Yes, you did. I agree. At the end, the Batman is fascist at the end is just, this is pandering to these stupid fucking 20-year-old furry profile picture, she, them, don't know what your fucking gender is, don't buy comics, don't have money to go to movies. That's who that fucking shit is pandering to. Batman is a fascist. Fuck off with that. That was just my little rant, which would have just been whatever, just another Twitter video that people, a lot of people are watching. However, Angel Manuel Soto decided to respond, laughing emojis, well, my job's done. If you don't know who this is, I don't fucking blame you, but this is actually the director. This is the director for Blue Beetle that responded in this way. And we found out a little bit more about the director from Blue Beetle, which, this tweet that was still active all the way up until, I don't know, about 12 hours ago or so when he deleted it. The only thing I hope Trump has similar to Lincoln's presidency is the way it ended. Now, a lot of people are finding out different things about this dude, including he thinks that Puerto Rico is a slave colony to the United States, all these things. This is what we found out because he decided that it was funny that people are upset about his trailer. And this is just more the same from DC and from comic creators, from these people who get into these properties. And as he's said multiple times, he cares about social justice. So I can only imagine what'll be in Blue Beetle.
Well, it's a comic creator going after fans. It must be a Tuesday.
Guess
what, Angel? Your job is done because James Gunn is not going to pick you back up for a director. Blue Beetle is not part of his plan. So enjoy unemployment.
Absolutely. Ryan knows this. Every single time that some Hollywood weirdo or some creative weirdo starts ranting and screaming about anything, I type their name with Trump every time just to see what horrible shit they've said about Trump every time. And they almost always have the most horrific things that they say about Trump while also talking about being nice and not being toxic and all of this. So finding this out was glorious.
It's typical. I watched that trailer yesterday for the first time and I was so underwhelmed by everything from the CGI to the storytelling. Oh, look, it's another reluctant hero who's on a hero's journey. That kind of Campbell bullshit. We've seen that a million times. Who cares? You know what? When I see a Western and there's a badass gunslinger, I don't want to see him as a fuck up learning how to shoot guns. I want to see him as a badass Western gunslinger. Same thing with superheroes. I'm tired of the journey and watching them be reluctant and learning their trade and they're flying around and banging into walls and stuff. And then we're supposed to rally behind them at the end. Screw that. I want to see Superman be Superman. I want to see Batman be Batman. Give him a good story and have them go out there and kick some ass and do something heroic. By heroic, I mean, beating up bad guys and not, using the proper pronouns for somebody.
These people kind of make material to piss off what they deem as the right types of people. Obviously, if you're going into it with that kind of line of thinking, oftentimes in this case, you're pushing out a particular audience. So, of course, people see that with the Batman is fast thing. You have that in combination with the director and his dumb shit. So now people are putting two and two together like, yeah, that's more than likely why that line's in there. There's so many instances of this in Hollywood, and it goes to show who they favor and why I tell people to act accordingly, right? Gina Carano, we keep having to refer to her because she's such a blatant example, took a mild position on a mild meme, and you saw what happened to her. These motherfuckers are talking about assassinating the goddamn president. Pedro Pascal likens half of the voting population to Confederates and fucking Nazis, right? He gets to do that, and there's zero consequence. These guys get all the gigs. So this is what I'm trying to snap people into reality. Like, these people fucking hate you, but not just that. It's that the type of playing field that we're on, it's not even by any means. I think that people would be able to stomach even some of the more subtle political shit if there was more balance. But there's no balance. It's slanted one fucking way, and it's only coming from that angle as deemed as the acceptable line of thinking politically.
I wonder if they start doing it with that ESG money, whether companies will then have to be forced to report to their shareholders and be held accountable for the loss of revenue that these companies go through. They'll take losses and have that money made up and look chance of profit with the ESG money coming in. They're just promoting all this ideology with no consequences under them. How can any company that has to report to shareholders report losses on publishing, let's say like DC Comics? I mean, it's a complete loss for them. The money's coming from somewhere, and as they say, show me the money.
They have no choice because corporations are risk averse. And right now, what Eric was talking about, they have made it so poisonous to even admit you're on the right, you're a center. It's getting close to classic liberal. I think it is classic liberal at this point. We're starting to see them. The people who are sick of this, who still work in the industry, who's, talk to us, are afraid to say anything. They can't say anything. That's not a good environment. It's not good for the country, whether we like it or not. Pop culture, Disney, they're institutions. Disney owns a huge tracts of land in Florida still. Now they're just going to have to pay taxes like the rest of us. It's going to have to come from the shareholders or people just like seriously backing out on Disney. You're also going to see other companies who are more desperate trying to change, but they're still going to do it in a way where they can kind of have their cake and eat it too, which is fine if it's balanced, but there is no balance. Hollywood has impacted the division in our country. It's huge. It's a major part of the division in our country. It's feeding that division every single day. That's why we call it out.
It's all about the ideology for them, and that's where it's gotten. It's basically a color revolution that these companies are so afraid of because it's come from the grassroots. They've already embedded ESG systems, like Graham said, into a lot of this, and that's what it is. It's the fear that they've created, and somehow with social media having this power, they just see that as a reality. So the crazy ideologues on that side are willing to go out there, they're willing to protest, they're willing to boycott, they're willing to try to shame people online, and that basically puts fear into the hearts of these people, and they just basically are co-opted and held hostage by this. And that's the only reason I can explain why they're willing to lose the money, because at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense for a company to, it's not sustainable for this to happen.
But having interacted with some of these people, I think we should also just admit that they have a bunch of retards working. These are very illogical people. And considering that these illogical people are in positions of power, they are going to do illogical shit.
The radical left is winning the culture war and has been for a long time. Doesn't mean we don't fight. Doesn't mean we don't speak up. Doesn't mean we don't fracture this. I think that's the, breaking up Hollywood is what's going to happen. I think we'll have a bunch of little Hollywoods, a bunch of epic verses, a bunch of independent comics, and that's how we'll get our entertainment and we'll get our news the same way.
Hollywood is narcissistic, as Eric said, retards, and they don't want to give credit to anybody else. They're greedy. To give you a perfect example, if you have a project on a desk in Hollywood and that executive gets shit canned, well, everything on that guy's desk goes with him.
Yes.
Because the next guy coming in doesn't want to have a success on something this guy started and have to give the credit to him.